It's my second time recording today. Audio was weird the first time. We'll get over it. Welcome to Careless Sports College Football Podcast, Episode 2 for the 2023 college football season. I am your host, Guy. I don't have that much I want to talk about today. I didn't prepare that much. I recorded for an hour 10 minutes ago, and I listened to it again, and it was just bass boosted. My voice is just the whole time. No idea what happened. I guess my mic level was too high, or I was talking way too loud. I don't know, but we're back. I had a tier list prepared, but I didn't like it, so I'll try it again sometime. It's in the archives. I can re-release it if I can ever fix the audio. It wasn't that entertaining, so we're gonna cut that part out. Yeah, let's just jump into it. So, I want to start by talking about, I am trying to build a website for Careless Sports. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be so awesome. I am using, what's it called? A program called, Card, C-A-R-R-D. An old coworker of mine has started his own business. It's called Moon, M as in Michael, U-U-N as in Nick, Tower, Moon Tower. It's like a cybersecurity company that specializes in nonprofits. So big thanks to him for introducing me to that. So that'll be up and running whenever it's up and running. I don't know. Old coworker, if you're listening, look, I gave you a sponsorship. I just name dropped you right then and there. If I got your company all wrong, text me. Let me know. It is what it is. Let's jump into what I actually want to talk about, which is the ACC conference. I mean, what do we got this year? It is, to put it lightly, it is a race between Clemson and Florida State. Looking at this conference top to bottom, I believe Florida State right now is the favorite to win the conference, where Clemson is a short second. But in their Week 4 matchup, I believe it is Clemson that is favored by 3 points. The way I think this is what I heard. I believe it was on Josh Pate's Late Kick show, just to give him credit. That when Vegas is kind of like deciding game odds, whoever has home field will kind of just get like 3 points. So let's say, for example, if Georgia goes on the road to Auburn and Georgia's favored by 27, the line will show up as Georgia minus 24, because they'll give Auburn and Jordan Hare those 3 points that they need because they're hosting the game. That's essentially how it works. So Clemson minus 3, which is Vegas's way of saying, like, these two teams are so even, we're just going to give it to Clemson for the home field. And that is what it is. So I got some pretty tough opinions about Clemson, Florida State. Before I go there, let's talk about Miami. Mario Cristobal, big arm fella, ex-Miami player. I think he's the answer for Miami. I really do. I think in a horrendous first year, you got to kind of expect that. Miami is a dumpster fire program right now. They don't even have their own stadium. They have to fill up an NFL stadium with a bunch of college kids who could care less about a bad Miami team. Miami's terrible. He picked up a terrible team, and they're going to be better. This year, I think I got him. I think, looking at their schedule right now, I think Miami could realistically go 8-4. I would have to make a for sure call on the A&M game. I don't know where I want to go with that yet. If Miami had their Orange Bowl, if they had their own stadium like they did in the good old days, I would take Miami in a heartbeat, just like that. But they don't. They play in Hard Rock, where the Miami Dolphins play. That's not a home field advantage to me. That really just feels like a neutral site that's just close to the University of Miami. Pretty sure it's like a half-hour drive, 40-minute drive or whatever from the campus. It's ridiculous. It's not okay. So, let's see. I got win, loss, win, loss. Yeah, I'll take him at 8-4. I'll take him losing to Texas A&M. That's a massive improvement. If you're a Miami fan, you are taking 8-4 and you are running in 2024. You are on the Miami train, as will I be. I will be on the Miami train in 2024 more so than anyone is on the Florida State train for this season. 100%. For Miami to go 8-4, they're gonna need huge improvement in the quarterback position. They're gonna need a massive improvement on the line of scrimmage, both defensively and offensively. They just don't have that at all. They're going to need to improve. I mean, they're really going to have to improve every facet of the game. I think Mario Cristobal is the guy to do it. I mean, you're not going to win the ACC this year, which is unfortunate because it could be their last year in the ACC. More on that later. 2 days ago, I talked about the death of the Pac-12. The ACC is next, but we'll get to that when we get to that. The next team I kind of want to touch up on is North Carolina. They got a Heisman dark horse and Drake May. Mac Brown is the head coach. He's a national championship winning head coach 17 years ago, but hey, you got to take it. So I don't have Drake May winning the Heisman. I think he's going to go in the first round. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he doesn't have the talent around him to win the ACC. They'll make some noise though. Like, I think they can make noise. I don't think they're beating Clemson. They don't play Florida State this year. They're not beating Clemson. That it is what it is. I don't think they beat South Carolina in week 1. I think a 9-3 record is very achievable. I got them beating Miami. I got them 0-1 to start off the season against South Carolina and Charlotte. They'll beat App State. They'll beat Minnesota. Beat Pitt. Beat Syracuse. Beat Miami. Beat Virginia. They're going to have a nice little win streak just like they did the year before. They beat Georgia Tech. They're going to beat whatever. What is that? I have no idea what that team is. No idea at all. They're gonna beat Duke. They're gonna lose to Clemson, and they're gonna go off and lose to NC State to choke an ACC championship game appearance with 2 conference losses. Whereas Clemson and Florida State will either have 1 or the other one may have 0. So it's unfortunate, but that is a very good season for North Carolina. You kind of have to go to a New Year's 6 this year because you're not going to next year when Drake May is gone. I could see an Orange Bowl. Assuming the Orange Bowl is not a play. No, it is not. I could see an Orange Bowl trip for North Carolina this year. North Carolina, Tennessee, Orange Bowl. Lock it up. I just predicted a whole New Year's 6 bowl for you right there. I think North Carolina is going to be really good. I think the ACC, top to bottom, is a pretty good conference this year. They got 4 decent teams with 2 playoff contenders. If we're being legit here. Let's start with Florida State. Everyone and their mom is putting money on Florida State to win the ACC, to go to the playoffs, to win a goddamn national championship. For Jordan Travis to win the Heisman, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend doing that. They were decent last year. What were they? 9-3, right? Finished with 10 wins after the bowl. Maybe they finished with 9 wins. I don't remember. I remember them losing 3 games in a row during the season or something like that. Not good. Can't do that. They have a lot of returning production. They have a fairly easy schedule after the first 4 weeks. So let's go over the schedule right now. Actually, they open against LSU. LSU is almost my favorite to win the West. I think either them or Alabama could win the West. Either team could go to the playoffs. I got LSU beating Florida State. I don't think they lose to them twice in a row. If Florida State beats LSU in week 1, then my prediction for them going forward will be completely different. If Florida State beats LSU in week 1, I think they will win the ACC, and I think they'll go to the playoffs. But as of right now, I don't think they're doing either of those things, and I think they're losing to LSU. They're going to beat Southern Mississippi. They're going to beat Boston College. Then they go on the road to Clemson. Now, Clemson, up to this point, will have played Duke and 2, I'm assuming, bad ACC teams. And then they have a showdown in Clemson, South Carolina. And I got Florida State beating them. Yeah, I know. What do you mean? What do you mean, guy? Huh? You telling me Florida State's not going to the playoffs, but they're 11-1 because they only lost to LSU and they beat Clemson. That's pretty good. They're obviously going to win the ACC. Clemson's a dumpster fire. Clemson's done. Dabo's done. It's all done. It's all over now. Nope. Not true. But yes, I do have them beating Clemson in the regular season. I will go to Clemson later. and I can see them winning out. Maybe they lose at Florida, but they're going to the ACC championship game regardless. And a 10-2, 11-1 regular season is very achievable. Going to the ACC championship game should be your floor. It should be your floor. You don't have to beat Clemson and LSU in the same year, but you got to go to the ACC championship game. And luckily, LSU isn't a conference game, so you can just toss that one away. If I'm a Florida State fan, the playoffs is not on my mind. The playoffs shouldn't be on anyone's mind unless you are a Georgia fan, an LSU fan, an Alabama fan, I'm going to say a UT fan, a Texas Longhorn fan, an Ohio State fan, a Michigan fan. That's it. I'm sorry. That's it. I do have a strong playoff prediction later in this video. But yeah, I mean, I think that's where Florida State's at. I think they're going to go to the ACC championship game, but I don't think they're going to win it. And here's why. Clemson Tigers, they're back. Clemson's going to be back this year, dude. They're going to lose to Florida State in the regular season. Whoop-de-doo. They're going to beat Duke week 1. That's going to be a tough game for them. Duke is a good team. It's only, I believe, a 9-point spread. It's at Duke. You know, it's not Wallace Wade Stadium. Not the easiest place to go into. Bunch of smarty pants Duke kids just want to see their Blue Devils beat Clemson. They're not going to see it, but they're going to see a tough fight from Duke. Clemson's going to win. Then they play some cupcake. They play Florida Atlantic. Then they play Florida State, and that's where they're going to lose. Because Clemson's going to be like, oh, we beat Duke, and we destroyed these teams, you know, and everyone's going to be, the AP poll is going to have Clemson at, like, number 4 or 5. They're going to have Florida State at 6. They're going to be like, oh, Clemson's favored by, 3, but the players are going to feel differently. They're going to have the rat poison. Remember when Nick Saban said about the rat poison? The media is going to be kind of mostly geared towards Clemson, in my opinion, after Florida State loses to LSU. And they're going to get a little trapped in that they're going to lose yet another home game. It's going to be awesome because I love seeing Dabo Swinney run down that hill like an idiot. And then he loses at home. It was really great last year against South Carolina. It's so great because it doesn't happen very often. And I'm not hating on Dabo. He does make me cringe a lot. He makes me a little ill. He makes me go, ooh, don't say that, man. Just why? What are you doing? He's like if an 8-year-old got to coach a football team and we're in a Hollywood movie because he's really good at it. So that's Dabo Swinney. But yeah, they're going to lose to Florida State, and then they're going to be on a mission the rest of the year. Sorry, Syracuse is a big casualty here. They are the team that Clemson has to play right after Florida State. Clemson destroys them. They destroy Wake Forest. They're going to kill Miami. Kill them. Dead. People might be high on Miami at this point. Maybe Miami beats A&M. Maybe I'm wrong. Doesn't matter. Clemson's going to beat them. Clemson's going to beat NC State. They're going to beat Georgia Tech. They're going to beat North Carolina. And they're going to beat at South Carolina. They're going to kill South Carolina. They have this one circled. They got this game circled on their schedule. They want Spencer Rattler dead. They're going to kill South Carolina at South Carolina, probably a night game. It'll be a sight to see. I'm sure Dabo's press conference afterwards will not make me physically ill at all. The game I did skip is at home against Notre Dame. This is another revenge game. I'm pretty high on Notre Dame this year. I think that ceiling for Notre Dame could be 10 wins, 11 wins. I'm probably going 10 for their ceiling. I think that they're going to go 8-4, and I think that's okay. I think I'd be okay with Notre Dame going 8-4. They got a tough schedule. I am of the opinion this is a strong prediction that I shouldn't reveal now because we got a few more episodes before the season starts, but I got Notre Dame beating Ohio State as of right now at home, night game. I think Ohio State going into Notre Dame with a new quarterback is going to be a different kind of challenge for Ryan Day. A good challenge that they'll need to face. But yeah, I got Notre Dame beating Ohio State. Doesn't mean Ohio State's going to be bad. Doesn't mean Ohio State's not going to win the Big Ten. It's just a trap game. It happens all the time. And then after that, I think Notre Dame is going to get absolutely demolished by Clemson. I think Clemson demolishes the rest of their schedule after the Florida State game. Maybe UNC, they can, have a bit of a tug of war kind of thing. That game will probably decide who goes to play Florida State in the ACC championship game. And then they play in the ACC championship game. There's no divisions. Clemson versus Florida State, best ACC championship game ever. There's going to be a game day could be there for all we know. The winner goes to the playoffs. Oh, it's so crazy. And I think Clemson is going to kill them. I think Dabo Swinney and the boys and the players and the rest of the coaching staff, they're going to kill Florida State. And why do I think that? One guy, Garrett Riley. the first time Dabo has ever really gone outside of his program to hire a coordinator, and it's going to pay off big time. Garrett Riley is a genius. He's an offensive genius, just like his brother. And I think he's gonna have Cade Klubnik. This is his first year starting as a quarterback. He's gonna have him slinging the rock. He's gonna have him going crazy this year. I'm not saying Heisman numbers, but I think that going into the 2024 season, people are gonna say Cade Klubnik, that kid could win the Heisman in 2024. It's gonna be because of Garrett Riley and Dabo Swinney's hire. And Clemson's going to the playoffs. That's it. I said it. Boom. Mic drop. Clemson. Okay. That could change. Tomorrow I could be like, what the hell was I thinking? Clemson's not going to the playoffs, but I do think they're going to win the ACC. I do think they have a good shot of making the playoffs. I think they could be in a similar situation in 2017, where they don't need a generational quarterback to go to the playoffs. Remember, in 2017, Clemson started Kelly Bryant at quarterback. This was their buffer year between Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence. Kelly Bryant, he got the job done. He distributed the ball like he needed to do. And he got his team to a number 1 seed in the playoffs, playing in the ACC. That is very easy to happen, playing in a conference like that. Goes to the playoffs, and he gets absolutely shit on by Alabama and Jalen Hurts, who was on, they had a huge chip on their shoulder. Clemson never stood a chance. Georgia in the second half never stood a chance either. But I mean, again, you can see that this year with Clemson, maybe a 3 seed, not based off of like a generational quarterback. Cade Klubnik does not have to be that guy this year for them to make the playoffs, is what I'm saying. That's kind of, those are really the 4 teams I wanted to touch up on in the ACC. Now, in regards to the future of the ACC as a conference, this news wasn't really broken on Tuesday when I released our first episode where I talked about the death of the Pac-12. I think today we could expect to talk about the death of the ACC. In a board of trustees meeting with Florida State, they have blatantly said that they are done with the ACC. Florida State is out. They don't want any part in the ACC at all. They're done. Where are they going? We don't know. Personally, I hate this. I just don't like it for the sport. I don't like conference realignment. I think Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC could be fun. Those 2024 schedules look really cool. But I would much prefer them to stay in the Big 12. I think that's where they belong. I think Florida State belongs in the ACC. If they were to move conferences, I would obviously prefer them to go to the SEC to keep the regionality of the sport intact after the Big Ten decided to ruin that for everyone. But I see a lot of tweets from a bunch of nobodies saying that, like, oh, the Big Ten is actually in a favorable position to grab the Florida State. No, thanks. I really hope they go to the SEC. I think they will go to the SEC. There's a lot of positives for Florida State being in the SEC outside of revenue. They get to share a conference with Florida, right? So if Florida ever beats them out for a recruit because Florida's in the SEC, Florida doesn't have that argument anymore. Then Florida State can take that SEC argument from them. You're seeing it with you're seeing it with Texas right now. Like Texas A&M grabbed the number 1 recruiting class in 2021, or is it 2022? One of those 2 years, right? And since then, Texas has they've been killing them in recruiting. They've been killing them because now Texas has the SEC line too. And Florida State, you're going to see that too. You're going to see a very similar thing happen with Florida State, which is going to be really scary going forward because Florida State is already looking like a great team, So I think that's where they're going to land. And then obviously, it's only Florida State said they were leaving. That doesn't mean the conference is dead. Yeah, well, can you really see a reality where Florida State leaves the ACC and Clemson and Miami just stay put? You think they're going to be like, it's okay. Nah, we're good. Don't need them. Who needs them? No, they're gone too, man. They just didn't have the balls to say it first. Clemson's gone. Miami's gone. Back when Texas and Oklahoma was first announced to be joining the SEC, there was a few reports that Clemson and Florida State, North Carolina, and Virginia were all interested in joining the SEC as well. I think Clemson, if Florida State doesn't go to the SEC, Clemson definitely will. I think they both will, personally. Again, Clemson has been beating South Carolina in recruiting. They don't really need the SEC pitch to catch up. And now that they got it, oh man, they're just going to get better and better and better. However, they will be playing a harder schedule. They'll have more regular season losses. So will Florida State. So will Georgia. So will Alabama. And it doesn't matter because we have a 25 goddamn conference. I'm sorry, 25 teams playoff or whatever the hell. It's 12 teams, but it's entirely too many teams. You're going to see 9-3 Clemson sneak in there. You're going to see 8-4 Florida State be the 12th seed. It's just, I already touched up on that in the first episode. I'm not a fan, but again, what are you risking by going to the SEC other than a few more regular season losses? If you are in a position to go to the playoffs at the end of the year and you're in a position to just win out and win a national championship game with 2 or 3 losses, why the hell would you stay in the ACC? It's free money. You're printing money going to the SEC, making the move. I don't know the legality of how Florida State and Clemson and Miami would go about leaving the ACC. Their media rights deal is very strange. It is scheduled in like the 2030s, I think, when that thing runs up. So there's going to be a huge buyout. No, like whatever happens, it's going to be a massive buyout. It could be years before this happens. It could be tomorrow. I have no idea. The other team I want to touch up on leaving the ACC is Miami. I heard that Miami has been interested in leaving the ACC for a while. And I was like, oh, that's great. Because could you imagine? I'd rather not the ACC die, but could you bear with me for a second and imagine Florida, Miami, and Florida State all being permanent rivals in the SEC every single year, each and every one of them. You have a little in-state tournament of the Florida schools. It would be electric. It would be so awesome. And I believe they used to do that. I'm not very old. But I believe I was watching a 30 for 30, the U and the U Part 2. It's kind of highlighting the rise and fall of Miami's 2 dynasties in the 80s and early 2000s. And they touched up on those like Florida games, those Florida State, Florida, and Miami games. It's so awesome. It is so awesome. And that is one thing I would look forward to with conference realignment. But I got bad news. I keep seeing reports that Miami and the Big Ten have been talking. Why? I hate that. It's so bad. It's so goddamn bad. You're going to have Southern California schools traveling to East Lansing, Michigan, and it's so stupid for a regular season game in November. And then, even better, you're going to have UCLA every other year or every 2 years or however the hell their schedule is going to work, go to Miami for a regular season game every other year. You're going to make those players and coaches travel all the way across the country. The jet lag? Are you kidding me? It's insane. It's ridiculous. The travel. This is why college football is a regional sport. That is it. There it is. College kids, they can't really. Look at the country. The country's what? This big? You got Southern. Oh, sorry. Well, the camera's inverted. So hold on. You got Miami, Southern California. I'm sure that whistling was horrible. You got that's across the whole country for a regular season game. It's ridiculous. I just don't like that kind of stuff. It's just so bad. It's just such a bad situation. It's a bad product that the Big Ten is going to be putting out onto Fox. And I don't really see the benefit for Miami. What are you gonna? So your recruiting pitch is, well, we're in the Big Ten. That's a great conference. That's better than the ACC. It's better than what you're working with right now. But like, what do you have over Florida State and Miami now? Oh yeah, we're in the SEC, and all of our games are, a drive away, an hour flight, maybe. We get to play a perennial, almost blue blood level college football program every single week. Miami's like, yeah, I hope you enjoy playing Rutgers and Illinois every year. Florida State's going to be playing Georgia and Florida. Well, they already played Florida. Florida State's going to be playing Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, Arkansas. Arkansas is a pretty interesting example, but I think you know what I mean. Same thing with Clemson. Clemson's like, yeah, we've been playing South Carolina. Now we play Georgia every year. We had a playoff rivalry, national championship rivalry against Alabama years ago. Now we play them every other year. And that's a better product. ESPN, they gotta be shaking right now. They gotta be like, oh my God, please, SEC, Please get Clemson and Florida State. I mean, actually, ESPN's probably telling him to directly. We all know that they really are the ones that control how things go down. College football is a sport run by the TV networks. It's always been that way. That's why we have the playoffs. I think the 14 playoffs is fine. The BCS was better. And now we got a 12-team playoffs because ESPN wants more football. More weeks of football equals more people sitting on their couches on Saturdays watching football equals more people watching those good ads during football. So I hope you enjoy Miami versus Penn State in November. It's cold as shit because you're going to see a lot more of those Burger King commercials halfway through the game or 30 times during the game. I won't repeat the jingle, but I think you know what I mean. That kind of wraps up my ACC preview. Ended on a grim note. It's a conference. The conference is it's probably gonna die. The ACC's it's gonna die. I just wanted to touch up on. Okay. Sorry, I had my microphone hissed at me a little bit there, or my headset specifically hissed at me. Another thing I want to touch up on is just some head coaches that I'm keeping an eye out for this season. A lot of the people, most of the people actually that I send the show to, don't really watch or consume the sport like I do. And when I have conversations with them about this stuff, they look a little lost, which is actually why I made the show. And this is why when I say that I think Texas is going 11-1 and winning the national championship, it's because you listen to these segments right here. These are head coaches that I am watching this year. If you like sports for the storyline, college football is the best sport for storylines there is. And here are some good coaching storylines going into the season. The head coach I am most looking forward to this year is Steve Sarkisian. Like I said in last episode, I think Texas is going to beat Alabama. I think Texas is probably going to... I'm not previewing Texas right now. I don't have the research on me right now to preview Texas. However, I think that Texas is going to win the Big 12. They're going to go 11-1, and they're going to go to the playoffs. And it's going to be, oh man, when Texas is really back, it's going to be a sight to see. It's going to be insane. I am very much looking forward to it. And again, another reason why I'm watching Steve Sarkisian, if he doesn't beat Alabama, he has to win out. There was going to be so much pressure on them winning out. There's a lot of pressure on Texas winning the Big 12 this year, and there should be. It's their last year in the Big 12. They're easily the most talented team in the Big 12. If they do not win the Big 12 this year, Texas might be toast when they go into the SEC. That is my prediction. They don't win the Big 12, they're screwed. They're going to be so lost when they go to the SEC, and they have to host Georgia next year, guys. Like, that's insane. Like, I would much rather see the defending Big 12 champions hosting Georgia and Florida next year than 9-3 Texas, who maybe didn't even go to the Big 12 championship, or they lost to Kansas State or Texas Tech, something like that. But I really think that this team they're going to do good things. They're going to do big things. They're going to go 11-1. They're going to win. They're going to win the Big 12. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to beat Alabama. Maybe they get a rematch in the playoffs. That would be so amazing. That's another storyline you have to watch. Steve Sarkisian used to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Does the student become the master? He's the greatest offensive mind in maybe in the sports history. One of the best offensive minds in the sports history. The best offensive coordinator Bama's ever had. And they had Kirby Smart. They had Jim McElwain, who was the head coach for Florida for a little bit. He won a national championship at Alabama. And they had Bill O'Brien, which is a really bad example because he was terrible. And I just like bringing up how terrible he was. I'm going to keep it in the state of Texas. Another coach you want to watch out for this year, Sonny Dykes. I feel like no one's expecting TCU to run it back. All right. I personally am not. I think if TCU goes 7-5 this year, you're keeping Sonny Dykes around. You lost a lot of talent. You shouldn't have been in the position you were in last year. It was a magical season, and that's okay. That is okay. The thing is with Sonny Dykes is I think TCU is probably an 8-4, 7-5 team this year. But how does he react to that? How does he react to losing all that talent? How does this team respond after losing 65-7 in the national championship game? Do they just go back in the hole they came from in the Big 12, or are they going to make noise again? Is Sonny Dykes really that guy? If Sonny Dykes does it again, if he has a double-digit win season, and the Texas A&M job comes open, more on that later. Oh my God, Texas versus Texas A&M. You got Sonny Dykes. You know, that big. Maybe TCU wins the Big 12 this year. Sonny Dykes is. I don't want to go on him for too long. I feel like TCU has been talked to death about last year, and I'm a little sick of it personally. But Sonny Dyke, that's a guy that everyone should be watching in 2023. I'm going to continue to keep it in the state of Texas. Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. Every year we talk about this. We're talking about it to death because we need to. Jimbo Fisher is he's an interesting case. He's an interesting guy. He talks funny. He sometimes it kind of seems like he likes to start shit. He likes to start shit a little bit. That's okay. I respect it. I start shit sometimes too. My personal Twitter is full of fights. I'm sure his burner account is full of fights too. If you're the head coach of Texas A&M, there's a lot of pressure to win. You're in the SEC. You're in the state of Texas. That's a football state. You're arch rivals with the flagship university of the state. So you got that little brother mentality against UT. And you have to defend having weird male yelling cheerleaders and an ugly dog for a mascot. There's a lot of stuff against you at A&M, and no one's really been able to bring him up, you know? And, I mean, this is a guy who won a national championship at Florida State. Jimbo Fisher, he's a proven winner. We know he can win. It just, what is it, 5-6 years in now? It's a mystery that he hasn't won yet. If he doesn't win this year, if he doesn't go, do they keep him around if he goes 9-3? I would. Should they keep him around if he goes 8-4? No, I wouldn't. You got Texas coming into the conference. You're going to be playing them every year. You should hit the reset button. If you lose to Texas next year under a first-year head coach, it's a whole lot less embarrassing than if you keep Jimbo Fisher around. That's what you're watching for. Can Texas go can Texas A&M 9-3 is their bottom for Jimbo Fisher to keep his job? In my opinion, you go 9-3. That is your bottom. You're gonna have to beat Alabama or LSU or both in the same year. You know, I mean, plus Ole Miss, Miami. You know, those are good teams. Arkansas could be a good team this year. Mississippi State could come out of nowhere this year. I don't remember who they're playing on the East. I think they might be playing Florida. You know, they could be much improved. I don't know for sure. Jimbo Fisher, you got to go 9-3 or better. In my opinion, it's New Year's Six Bowl or bust. But I'll take a 9-3 if I'm a Texas A&M fan. That shows improvement. But last time he went 10-2, the next year he did what? Or he went 9-3 in 2021, beat Bama. 2022, 5-7, worst record in the SEC. It's an excuse. Like it's not excusable. You know, it's terrible. That's the head coach that I'm looking for in 2023. Another one I like to keep a close eye on. Hugh Freeze, head coach at Auburn. He looks like Jim McElwain, the old head coach at Florida, the one I mentioned earlier. This guy's got a weird history. He's got a weird past. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a fan of the hire. I think he's a winner. I think an SEC school has to have a little bit of morals. Some morals. I think Ole Miss was right for firing him. I know they probably held on to that secret for a long time before they did, but I don't expect the institutions to be saints. But when it comes out, you fire him, and no one else in the conference should hire him. That's for sure. I am personally a Hugh Freeze hater. I think he can win. He's a proven winner. He won at Ole Miss. He won at Liberty. That's why he got the Auburn job. I think Auburn fans are excited about him. I think they're kind of turning their brain off at how horrible he is and all the gross, disgusting shit he did at Ole Miss. But, you know, I think he could turn it around this year. I think Auburn can be competitive this season. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm watching Hugh Freeze. My prediction for Auburn, pretty decent season, better than last year. In 2024, everyone's going to be scared of the Auburn Tigers. That's what I personally think. They just flipped a 5-star receiver out of Alabama, Perry Thompson. The kid said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along the lines of he's deciding to go to Auburn because Hugh Freeze develops wide receivers better than Alabama. For a head coach to convince a high schooler of such an atrocious lie should probably put you in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that is quite the pitch. I don't. Maybe the kid just said that. Maybe Auburn just handed him a bigger bag. And he just had to He couldn't outright say, "Oh, Auburn offered me more money, so I'm going there." So he had to just make some shit up. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe he's actually convinced that Auburn produces receivers like Devontae Smith and Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper. But again, that's a huge get for Auburn, and that kind of shows what Hugh Freeze is capable of. He's like the villain in the SEC, except other than Nick Saban, of course, but he's only a villain because he wins. So that's another head coach to look out for in 2023. There's a lot of Nick Saban doubt right now, aka there's a lot of idiots on Twitter right now. But maybe there's reason for the doubt. If Nick Saban loses to Steve Sarkisian in week 2, and I believe he will, how does he bounce back from that? Will he bounce back? I expect him to bounce back like a 2015 Alabama would, or a 2016. A 2017 Alabama would. You know, that's what I'm expecting out of Nick Saban in Alabama. I'm expecting maybe a run at the national championship. I'm pretty high on Alabama. I think you're going to see some old school, just run it up your ass football from Alabama. But if we don't see that, if we try to see an offense that tries to replicate a quarterback centric offense, what are you going to do about it? Like what? Why? First of all, why? Second of all, will it work? And if it doesn't work, what are you thinking? What is the public perception on Nick Saban? What is Nick Saban's perception about his team going forwards? I mean, I think Georgia's biggest threat in the SEC is Alabama, like it is every year. And if Alabama just can't put it together and they shoot themselves in their own foot, just like they did last year, and Georgia gets off scot-free, there's a discussion to be had about Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. And that's really all I got to say about Nick Saban and those coaches. And that's kind of there's a few honorable mentions. How is Mississippi State going to replace the late great Mike Leach with, I believe, Zach Arnett? Not really much of a storyline there. I mean, he can have a bad season, have a good one, and he'll be fine. He'll keep his job. That's something to look for. West Virginia, guys on the hot seat. I expect him to be fired in September, but we'll see. I want to look at Matt Rule in Nebraska. I don't expect much in the first year, but I think if there's anyone to bring Nebraska back, if Matt Rule can't do it, then only Nick Saban or Kirby Smart could. Because Matt Rule's he's a proven winner. He won at Baylor. He's probably Nebraska's guy. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking at Luke Fickell in Wisconsin. Are we gonna see like a massive improvement in year one, or are we gonna see enough improvement in year one and a transfer class that's loaded that makes you look in 2024 and say, okay, USC and UCLA are coming in here, but Wisconsin is a dark horse to win the whole thing, the whole conference. And I think Luke Fickell is the kind of guy that can put that product on the field. At least that's what I'm looking for when I think about Luke Fickell and Wisconsin. I want to think about Mario Cristobal in Miami. Got to see a massive improvement. I think 8-4 is their ceiling and their floor. The floor and the ceiling. It's 8-4. I can't see them going below that. I can't see them going above that. If they go below 8-4, there's pink flags. I'm not going red flags on Miami yet. I think it's going to take some time to improve that team. I think they can go 8-4 for the next 3 years, honestly. And then you'll start to see some improvement. Maybe once they leave the ACC and have a better recruiting pitch, something. I don't know. But I mean, that's another thing to look out for. Mario Cristobal at Miami, Dan Lanning at Oregon, second year with Bo Nix. They considered their greatest recruiting win is convincing Bo Nix to come back. I agree. What are you going to do with it? I think Bo Nix could win the Heisman. I'm a Bo Nix supporter. I like the guy. I like Oregon this year. Can you win the Pac-12? Can Dan Lanning beat Lincoln Riley in the Pac-12 this year? Another coach I want to look at, Lincoln Riley. How's your defense going to look in 2023? If it's not improved, you're not winning the Pac-12. You're gonna waste Caleb Williams' career as a Trojan. That's all I got to say about that. Graham Mertz. I'm sorry. No, that's the Florida quarterback. I forgot the defensive coordinator for USC. Whatever your name is, you're gonna fire him in October if things aren't working out. I expect the defense to be better, but I don't expect it to be good enough for you to go to the playoffs. I think you'll win the Pac-12. I'll go ahead and spoil my prediction there. You're too talented on offense not to. But I mean, the Pac-12 can completely cannibalize itself, so the winner just misses out on the playoffs yet again. That's just me though. Another coach I want to look at, Mel Tucker out of Michigan State. What's that all about? I mean, you got the $1 billion extension or whatever the hell you got. After a great 2021 season, you came out of nowhere, dark horse, Big Ten. Had they upset against Michigan? 2022, 5-7, you missed a bowl game. That cannot happen. When you get extended like that, you are expected to win at a high level in your conference every year. So what happens this year? I expect improvement. I expect no less than 8 wins. I think if you get 8 wins, the fan base should be pretty happy about that. And then where do you go after? Where do you go in 2024 and going forwards? But if you go 5-7 again, are we really going to talk about a buyout? That massive buyout? I don't think Michigan State is willing to splurge on the buyout. I think it'll be looked at as one of the funniest coaching extensions in history. Maybe outside of Jimbo Fisher, if he doesn't perform well this year. Although the buyout for this year wouldn't be as big as it was last year, so you got that. It'll be up there with Gus Malzahn. Another coach I want to talk to, Gus Malzahn out of UCF. You're going into the Power 5 this year. How are you going to do? I actually am really high on UCF. I'm really high on Gus Malzahn. I liked him when he was at Auburn. He had a good attitude, much better than Hugh Freeze. Sorry. I don't like him. Don't like Hugh Freeze. I like Gus Malzahn to make a lot of noise in the Big 12 this year. You avoid UT. You go to Lubbock near the end of the year. That'll be fun. I mean, how are you going to perform against a dark horse Big 12 champion like Texas Tech? Can you pull off those wins? Can you be the best team coming into the best new team coming into the new Big 12? We'll see. I don't know. That's why I got questions. Why I want to talk about it. And those are some of the head coaching storylines that oh my God, Marcus Freeman out of Notre Dame. See, there's so much shit. Ryan Day. If Ryan Day goes 10-2, you lose 2 regular season games, and you're not even in the running for the Big Ten East by the time you play Michigan, and you're really just playing Michigan to see if they can choke, and Penn State moves on. Is Ryan Day fired? Are we ready to have the conversation about Ryan Day being fired at Ohio State? I'm sure their whole fan base will fire him on Twitter. I wouldn't fire him, but I mean, I can see it happen. I can see him getting fired. I am personally really high on Ohio State. I think he's going to lose to Notre Dame. So that's why I brought up Marcus Freeman. You know, can Marcus Freeman just kind of keep the ship steady for this year and then we see some improvement? Or are we going to see a slight decline? Or are we going to see a major decline? Are we going to just see Marshall losses left and right? How is Sam Hartman at quarterback going to help the team? How is a new offensive coordinator going to improve your offense? How are you going to compete with that monster of a schedule? Ohio State, USC, and Clemson. A ridiculous schedule. Ridiculous. But I'm high on Notre Dame. I think Marcus Freeman's the guy. I think he get it done. I think long-term could be better than Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly, another head coach you want to look out for this year. He just won the West. How is Nick Saban going to react to that? How is he going to react to Nick Saban reacting to that? A lot of coaches to look out for this year, more so than most years. I feel like last year we were kind of looking at Jimbo Fisher. Maybe that's it. You know, I don't really know. Scott Frost, remember him? No one was looking at Ryan Day. He only lost to Michigan the one time, you know? Now he's lost 2 in a row. Does he lose to Michigan 3 times in a row? That's ridiculous. That's crazy. And that is all I have to say for this, I feel like shorter episode of the pod. Oh my fucking God. Okay. Yeah. Whew, we've been recording. That's Careless Sports College Football episode 2. Again, criticism is helpful. Appreciate if you watch the whole thing. Oh my God, you're a saint. God bless you. And peace out.